I'm Katie. Thank you for all coming here. And we are going to be talking about financial smarts for home inspection companies. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I'm not used to clickers. Okay, so today's topics are going to include break even and profit per ticket. If you don't know those numbers or don't know what they are, it's okay. We're going to talk about it. Ancillary services profitability, online scheduling improvements, capacity tracking, and then stages of business. So we're going to dive right in because I am on a time frame here.
And just so you guys know, bless her heart, we gave her an hour. We went a little bit long on lunch, so we're going to cut it down to about 30 minutes.
But lunch was excellent, so you know what? It's okay. And if you do start to nod off, it's okay if you want to stand up and just stand, because I can't see you anyway. It's good. So the break even and profit per ticket. This slide is talking about your break even, which basically equals the average cost per month compared to average ticket. Your average cost per month would be all of your expenses, including anything that you spend on marketing and administrative costs, as well as your direct costs for your home inspectors. And then that would be compared to your average ticket, which includes not just the average ticket of the home inspection, but it would include your ancillary services as well. So from ISN, you just look at your average ticket number there and use that. The profit per ticket is equal to the average ticket less the average costs. So in the home inspection industry, generally speaking, you want your average or your profit per ticket to be about $100. So if your average ticket is $680, including ancillary services and everything, then you would need your company costs or your break even to be no more than $580. And if it's not, then that means that you need to look at improving your systems or, if you're a smaller one-man band, then there's not a lot of costs you can cut in that area, but if you're a larger company, you may have like subscriptions that are eating up some of your profit that you forgot that you had and that you're not really using, or duplicate subscriptions that if you have a larger team that you could maybe consolidate. So as a one-man band, it would be more beneficial for you to look at how you can improve your revenue or increase your revenue, like whether it's time to add a new inspector or if it's time to invest in marketing so that you can get more jobs. As a larger company, you're going to look at things like all of your costs and dive into those specific areas, the different departments that, like your marketing and your administrative costs, and look for duplicate type of expenses. And those are ways that you can increase your profit per ticket. The last piece on here is add-ons, which boost your margins. So things like radon, sewer scope, mold inspections, all of those things are considered ancillaries. And then there's a bunch of other things that are listed, like that people do, like in Florida, they may have the 4 points in the wind mitts. You have lead inspections or lead paint inspections. There's all different types of ancillaries that you can offer. And these are ways to increase your average ticket without necessarily increasing a lot of the costs that go into it. That leads us into the ancillary services, which the question there is, do you outsource or do you keep it in-house? What depends on this is whether you have a lot of volume of those ancillary services or if you're looking to grow the volume of those ancillary services. So if you have a small volume of them and you just want to offer it so that you're more like the one-stop shop and make you more marketable in your area, then I would say it'd be better to outsource those services to somebody who already paid for all the expenses to get it up and going. If you are looking to grow in that ancillary and be able to have a higher volume of those numbers, then it may be something that you would want to consider investing in and adding it as an offshoot service that maybe even forms its own company at one point. The decision depends on your inspection volume. So you would look at how many of those that you do per month and if it's worth actually, investing in the cost or outsourcing it. Obviously, outsourcing, you get a lower profit margin because when you outsource, you have to pay somebody else for all the expenses that they put into it, and so they charge more. where if you keep it in-house, you have the upfront cost, but then after the upfront cost is done, then you start to actually get that higher profit margin, okay? And then that takes us to the next slide, which how this ties in is improving your internal processes will help to improve your bottom line. And this is an easy thing that you should all be using if you're not. Most companies that I work with, they use online scheduling. If I asked you in this room, how many of you actually use online scheduling? Raise your hands. Right, exactly. So you all have it. Now, how many of you know what % of your calls are online scheduled versus that are just regular calls? Okay, so the % of those calls is important to know because on here, if you look at that very first point, 90% of customers prefer to book online. That's 90%. So today's day and age, I mean, think about what you want to do. When you go and research something, do you want to have to call and talk to a person, or do you want to be able to just go online, research it, schedule it, and get it done? You're busy people. Everyone else is busy too. They prefer the online scheduling. So being able to know what that number is crucial for your business and for you to be able to actually make more profit, because if you're doing it online, you're not necessarily having to pay somebody else to do all that. Obviously, you still need a person to follow up and, you know, like confirm the schedule and confirm some of the details, and that's where you can work on upselling for the ancillary services that you offer. 22% of booking services are actually done directly. 41% of booking services are discovered through social media. So if you don't have social media platforms, then that would be another way that you could help to feed the revenue in, and it all works together for you. 25% are via websites that recommend customers. So these are, yes?
On that stat, 41% of booking services are discovered through social media.
Yes.
The word discover, does that mean they're actually booking because somebody has
Yes.
got a little button and
Well,
online?
it's from the.
Just awareness.
That's a good question, and that I'm not sure about. But this comes from, the stats come from LLC Buddy Statistics. They do a survey of online booking, specifically of businesses in the U.S. and in Canada, actually. It does include Canada, so. It does actually include Canada. I've read that somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure if it's just like, I'm not sure of the difference with that. So I mean, yeah. So the reason I say this is if you're not tracking this number, you can easily track it. You can look up how many inspections are scheduled online and then compare it to the total volume of inspections. Another number that I love to compare is the actual average of those tickets compared to the average of your regular scheduled inspections. So some companies, that average is actually much higher because customers go on, they see all the things, and they're like, ooh, I want the platinum service because I'm a platinum kind of person, and I'm going to order all the things with it. And so they will go in, and they'll just book everything because they see it, and they want it, and they don't want to miss out. So it's very important to know that number, and if you don't know how to track it, then you can talk to me later more about it. But basically, you compare your numbers there. This next slide is online booking continued because I think this is a really important piece of information that is the way the industry is going, and so it's important to track these numbers. Emerging firms, which in this case would be like your solo inspection firms or inspector firms, should have their percentage between 40 to 50% should be in online bookings. Established firms, which are firms that have between like 5 and 10 inspectors. Let me back up, I'm sorry. Emerging firms are from your solo up to 5 inspectors. Established firms are 5 to 15 inspectors, and 60 to 70% should be what your online bookings are. And then high volume firms, which are firms that have 15 inspectors or more, should be 70 to 80% where they're pushing ahead of the curve. And the reason that is because as you get bigger, you don't want to have more and more people that are manually doing the work. And so you need to put systems in place so that you can actually scale. If you don't have good, solid systems in place, it doesn't make it scalable. So it's important to know these numbers so that you can actually, grow your businesses, and that's what you're all here to do, right? So the next piece of information is capacity tracking. This is important because most of you have been in business for a while. Most of you have a really good, strong business sense, and you have gut feelings about when you should hire an inspector. And if you're like a lot of multi-inspector firm owners, you may get pushback from some of your inspectors that work for you and say, oh, well, we get slow in the winter, and why are we going to hire when we're slow in the winter? Well, the reason is that you would put numbers behind that. You want to be tracking your capacity so that you can actually say, these are the numbers behind why I say we need to hire. This gives you firm numbers that tells you, yes, you should hire, or maybe you should hold off. The way that you track your capacity, metrics to include would be obviously the count of inspectors that you have. You want to be tracking how much time off they're marked for the week, so including things like their vacation time, but also in times that you have meetings with your inspectors that would otherwise be during an inspection. Training times or any other time that they may mark off for whatever reason that they could be doing an inspection. You want to include that in the data that you're tracking, because if they're not available, then that automatically drives down the amount of inspections that you could do in the week, and so then it drives up your capacity for that week. And then you also want to be tracking the total revenue generated that week. The reason you track that is because then you compare it to what your average ticket is, and you can actually see from that information how much potential revenue you could be losing based on the time off that people are marking, and that helps you to know, oh, all these times off, I could potentially have made this much money if I had an inspector that could do the jobs during that time. This capacity tracking is important so that you can actually decide that information, okay? And the last slide that we're going to talk about here, Aaron, how am I doing on time? Okay. I'm trying to get through here.
We needed about 10 minutes at the end just for some Q&A stuff.
15.
15? Okay.
How am I doing?
Yeah, you got about 5.
Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, so this is the last slide, stages of business. So there are different stages that your business is in. You've got your solo inspectors, which end up getting capped out by time. And so they need to know things like when it is time to hire another inspector and how they actually do that best. The next size is small team, which would be your 2 to 5 inspectors. So this stage develops a lot of growth and really fast, and then they have to build in systems to be able to keep up with that growth. When you're in this stage, it's really easy to think, oh, wow, I'm in the best business because you're doubling your revenue and like things are going really well. And then you get to the mid-firm size, which this is where a lot of established home inspection companies end up getting stuck. So that's why it says risk of plateau. They get stuck here because they haven't necessarily built in the systems that need to be in place so that they can continue growing and scaling. This is the stage where you need to be really firming up all of the systems that you started to build in the small team section. And if you're not doing that, then you need to work on it and pick some different areas, which most of what we talked about before will give you tools to help you to firm up those processes. And then the last one is the large firm. This is where scaling is possible because you've built the systems in, you have the people, you have the team. The one area here that is struggles for most business owners at this stage is if they haven't necessarily got good leadership in place that helps to drive their culture that they've built in their company, then the business can really suffer and easily fall back down to a mid-firm size if they're not careful. But this is kind of the goal where a lot of companies want to get so that they can actually maybe even enjoy life a little bit, not just be working all the time. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. Now I've got some interactive questions for you. What I want you to do is I want you to group up with, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people in a group, and you can just cluster together in your seats, maybe kind of gather together. So like the last 2 rows and a couple rows here, and then the last couple, and group together. So the very first question, I want you all to gather together and go over these questions. What is your break even for your business? What is your profit per ticket? And how do you use this to make decisions? So I want you guys to gather together, discuss it with each other, give each other some ideas, and then if you're brave, you can share what you have to say or think. And go. Okay. All right, so who wants to share some of what their information is? Hey, who wants to share? Who's ready? Anybody? Bueller? I know, that's what, wah, 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 wah. That's what I feel like. All right, so who wants to share here? Anybody want to share? Does anybody here need an inspection? No? I don't know what to say. I'm trying to get... Hey, come on back. Who wants to share something? Who wants to share if you have any information? So really, the bottom line question that I want to know is, how do you use the information from your financials to make decisions? So who would like to share how they use their numbers to make decisions? All right, Bill.
All right, so what we usually do is we try to separate our business into labor, operations, and profit. And so our labor, we want to be no more than 50% of our total revenue, operations 30%, profit 20%. And so I know if I'm tracking those numbers and I'm somewhere close to those metrics, then we're doing okay.
Okay, I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Okay, so anybody else want to share how they use their numbers to make decisions for their business? Anybody? I think that was a,
When you guys are asking when's your break even, anybody have some, I'm curious what the number is.
does anybody know what their break even is? Does it, well, yeah, first off, does anyone know actually what their break even is in their business at this point? Okay. How easy is it for you to get that information? Right, you'd have to spend a lot of time. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you should actually, this is a number you should know and that you should be able to track with it from your financial information. It should be on, like, you've heard of KPIs, right? So, yes, key performance indicators. That should be one of those numbers that you know in your business, because it's important for you to know, because if your break-even number goes over what your average ticket is, then you're losing money on every inspection that you're doing from that point. So you need to know what that break-even number is in your business per ticket so that you can know, oh, maybe I need to increase my jobs here. Like, I need to increase my prices. Maybe I'm falling behind the curve here. So that's something that you need to know. Or you may need to look at your expenses overall and say, where am I overspending? Most times, businesses in this industry run pretty lean on their expenses, especially the last few years. It's been difficult for this industry. So I'm sure most of you are running pretty lean on your expenses. So the alternative is you need to look at how to improve your actual tickets. And that's why it's so important to know what your break even is. If you don't.
How many inspectors are you working with currently?
Inspectors or companies?
All right, inspection companies.
Companies?
If you want to say this represents that many inspectors, fine.
I mean, it's 70 companies plus. So I've got
I
a,
know you're working with Krista.
I've got a decent chunk of companies, and they are all different sized companies. I've got, several solo inspection companies, but most of the companies that I work with are multi-inspector firm companies. It's probably about 50-50 that are in the mid-size range up to, the bigger range. So
Those four categories you showed us, what is the most common break-even points for each of those categories?
break-even points.
Well, you said what is your break-even?
It depends on every single company, because every company operates a little bit differently. And it depends on, and also every single market is a little bit different, because different markets have different average tickets in general, and they also have different cost of living. So it depends on every single client specifically, because the cost of living can be substantially different from California to Florida.
All right, so what I heard Bill say, for instance, was no more than 50% for, employees, which I've been teaching for 30 plus years.
Right.
And then 30% for operating expenses, which is pretty standard.
Right.
Is that standard across the country?
Ish. I think it's a good goal. I think that 20% profit is a really nice percentage to get, but I think that it's a lot harder for companies to get to 20%. Most inspection companies are closer to 15% if they're healthy.
Well, and I'll tell you, for us, to your point about running lean, we have been running lean, and so our operations are running about 25%.
Yeah.
And our profit's 25%.
Yeah.
So the profit's actually up because we're running lean.
Well, and it also depends on the size of the company that you are. So if you are a smaller company, your costs are going to be a little bit higher, and you're going to be on that lower end of the profit margin. The scalability is where you start getting more profit. And so if you've got, 4 or 5 inspectors working for you, then you can get closer to that 20%, although most companies land around like 18%-ish in that range.
What I found is it depends on whether I call
It depends
myself
too.
salary or profit. Because if you count me as profit, our profit's much, much better, okay? But,
Well, and if the owner is still in the field and not necessarily paying themselves, or if they have a spouse working in the administrative side of things and they're not necessarily paying them, then their profit will be a lot higher than somebody who is hiring an actual admin. So it really varies greatly. And when I work with clients, I look at them specifically and their company specifically and what they're doing to determine what is healthy for them. And then I also will compare it to what I see others are doing that are similar to them, or if they need improvements, then I say, hey, other companies are doing this, and if you change some of these things, it may help you too.
So that's kind of my next question, and I apologize, but go ahead. She has a question.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I was just gonna say, if you're an owner, no matter husband, wife, and a kid, whatever, if there's a body filling a position, that needs to be a paid position, because any
Yeah.
company, you're not gonna have somebody come in and sit in that position for free. So that will skew your numbers, and if you're gonna scale to eventually get out, that will affect you greatly too. But
Exactly.
to me, any business across the board, whether it's inspections or not, a lot of people will say, well, you know, it's inspections, it should be this. I'm thinking 20% plus, 20% minimum should be a healthy profit. Above that is even better. So it's either you're increasing prices, reducing expenses, or watching your labor.
Well, and the way that you can improve your bottom line is by getting good systems in place. This industry as a whole, in general, there's a lot of people that are very much manual labor and manual things, and they don't start with systems. So the sooner you can get into building those systems, which is why that's in that 2 to 5 inspector range, the sooner you can build systems in place, the better your business will be and the faster you'll be able to scale. But you're right, yes, there's a lot of people that get stuck in that 2 to 5 inspector range because, and I'm getting the 5-minute mark. So we've got more questions, and I want to give you guys a chance to go through it. So
I would love to hear
if,
on this, how do you use this decision to make, or how do you use this to make better decisions? You're working with 70-plus companies. What's the number one thing you looked at and went, oh, you need to fix this?
honestly, it varies. I look at company individually. So if you would like to speak more directly with me about you and what you've got going on, I would love to talk to you. But we're going to move on for the sake of time here. Okay, so this next set of questions here. What type of ancillary services do you offer? Do you outsource or do everything in-house? What is your profit for these services? And what's your way of deciding when to bring the services in-house? So gather together. I'm going to give you a minute, 1 minute, okay? And then we're going to come back.
We got 10 minutes. You're okay.
Well, it's all right. They're still getting 1 minute because we got more questions after this. So 1 minute. Go. All right, it's time. You had your 1 minute. So I'm going to go with the last question again because I like that one. What is your way of deciding when to bring the service in-house? So when you have your ancillary services here, if you outsource it, what is your way of deciding when to bring it in? All right.
Licensing and insurance. Say that again? Licensing and an insurance in the state that I'm in. That affects what secondary stuff I can bring in-house.
Okay, that is a good point.
Lead,
Yeah,
asbestos,
Okay, so what makes you decide when to bring those in?
The time and expense that you have to put into it to get that.
Okay, so the time and expense, but when do you decide if it's worth it to bring it in versus outsourcing it?
You see how many people are doing it and what's going on, what's the competition.
Check your market. Yeah, exactly. That is,
My opinion's always been, I don't outsource nothing. If my clients ask for it, I'm gonna bring it on as long as it's financially, like they're saying, financially responsible.
gotcha.
I mean,
It definitely makes a difference, though, with licensing. I mean, depending on the states, I mean, some licensing, it is very hard to get, depending on where you're located, so I get it. New Jersey. Yes.
40-hour class to do lead inspections, then you gotta take a state test, and then the insurance.
Oof.
The insurance is about $100 a week.
So how many lead tests do you do?
That's the point.
That's the question, right? How many do you do? Right, exactly. How many, so you need to know those numbers. It's important for you to know them so that you know when to decide to bring it in or not. So this is why I'm talking about financial smarts for your business. It is important to know these numbers. I mean, it's going to vary from state to state, business size to business size. I mean, it will vary for all of you because you all have very unique things that you do for your businesses. You need to know these numbers within your own business so that you can actually make informed decisions. If you don't know those numbers, you're essentially flying blind. You're flying by the seat of your pants and saying, you know what, it'll be okay. Like, I still have cash in the bank at the end of the month. And if that's you, then you really need to pay attention to what's going on in your numbers and get them organized so you can actually make informed decisions.
In our state, New Jersey, you need 2 licenses, one for you as an individual, one as a corporation. $2,600, $2,600.
Yeah.
The insurance for both, and then one of the machines to do lead test, about $35,000.
So I hear you picking on lead test a lot, so I'm assuming you outsource that, right? You do. I was going to say, okay, that makes sense. I mean, right, there are different types of ancillary services that you will want to offer, and when you look into it, you'll be like, oh, it's so worth it to pay the extra fee to somebody else to do this because it's such a headache. So it makes sense. I get it. All right, next set of questions. And let me see here. What time are we at? We are at 3:21. I'm giving you another minute here. We're going to go through this. Do you currently track your online scheduling? What is your percent of orders using the online scheduler? And what could you do immediately to improve your online scheduling? So I want you to gather, discuss ideas for how you can improve your online scheduling, because most of you raised your hand and said that you offer it, but also most of you don't know how much it actually is. So I want you to get together and brainstorm some ideas. Okay, and go. I'm talking about both. I'm talking about both. We'll be generous for you. Okay, so what is one thing you could do immediately to improve your online scheduling? I want to hear from somebody in the back here because we haven't heard many people back there. What's something that you could do immediately to improve your online scheduling? All right, Aaron.
Hopefully everybody knows that they built a new kind of ancillary upsell automation tool in the scheduler.
It's awesome.
So everybody should be using that to, if you've got ancillary services and you've got the ISN online scheduler, make sure it's selling your ancillary services. So turn that on.
Okay, so did you all hear that? Turn that on. Wait, let me give him the mic so he can speak up. This is important.
Of the people using that tool, what's the average take rate for the different types?
I have no idea.
Here, let me see it a minute. So listen, if you don't know that number, you can actually track it. You can look at your total count of inspections, look at the total count that are put in the online scheduler, and then you can compare what your percentage is. And if you turn on the feature of upselling automatically with your online scheduling, which is what Aaron said you can do, that's a feature, you should all turn it on. That is an immediate step you could do to improve your online scheduling. The other immediate step is actually tracking the numbers. Track those numbers. See if you are actually improving. If you're not improving, look at your online presence, look at your website, look at all the things that drive the online scheduling.
Which answering service? ISN, the one through ISN or ACC?
We're not talking about answering service, we're talking about the online schedule.
The online scheduler. So it's not it's not a call center. It's the online scheduler. It's the feature, and they have it in ISN. You can check a box.
We got a bunch of tech guys here.
Go see the tech guys. Please turn it on, all of you. This will help your business. And you know what, I promise you, I didn't actually do this to try to promote their services. I'm doing this because it will help you. 90% of consumers want to be able to book online. Make it easy for them. Make it better for them, and also make it profitable for you. Checking that box is an easy way for you to improve your average ticket, which will drive more money into your pocket. If the slot they want is filled and they don't go any further, then that's when you also have, like, if they don't schedule, then you'd have somebody call back the next day and schedule. Well, I understand. Now, if it's online, though, and they're doing it at midnight, then the next day may not be too late. But, I mean, so you want to make it as easy as possible for these people to actually schedule. You're going to spoon feed them, okay? So, like, for an...
Build something into that online scheduling that says if the slot's filled, it automatically calls.
That's a good suggestion. I like that. So add something to it that if the slot's filled, it automatically then calls and sends that to somebody on your team to call and follow up. I think that's a great suggestion. Aaron, is that a feature they can turn on? No, not yet. Okay. Well, that's coming soon. Maybe like 10. I don't know. I'm not going to say it.
This slot would not be confirmed until we call you back.
Yeah. You could add it to the, yeah. So those of you who use the online scheduling and use it successfully, if you have suggestions for how to make it better and how to improve it, share it. Share it in the room here, share it with each other, and, give each other help, because that's what you're here for. You want to actually grow your business and you want to improve it. And online is the way to go. I mean, think about it. AI is everywhere. Everything is online. People love to schedule. So that is one of the biggest things that will help to drive more revenue into your business. And it will also cost you less, because you're not necessarily having to have as many hands-on people doing the work. So, all right. How am I doing on time here? We're keeping on going. I'm trying. We ate too long, guys. That's the problem. All right, so I've got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Whew. Okay, next set of questions. You get 1 minute to answer this. What metrics do you currently use to track your capacity? When should you hire or hold steady based on the capacity results? And go. You're giving me a look. It is easy. Except, do you track it based on when people take off? Okay. But is that sustainable? And can you actually scale? But can you scale? How many inspectors do you have? Okay. Yeah, 22 and 23 were brutal for the industry. It really was.
Well, I had some that been in it for a while and started getting bad attitudes, lazy attitudes.
That's tough.
They had to go away.
That is tough. So you're in a rebuilding phase. Well, that's a good place to be, because that means you can put all those systems.
What's that?
It's a good place to be because you can put the systems and processes.
also, I don't know what's with our coast, it's hard to hire an inspector.
Yeah.
They all think because they're
That's
licensed.
everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere. Everyone is struggling.
Well, no, it's not because they're struggling. It seems like on our coast where we're at, oh, I got a license, why should I work for you? I can do it on my own. I can, if they're,
On their own, they can go
if
spend
they're,
the money on all of it.
yeah, well, if they're intelligent, and listen, they can make more money and have more of a life.
Yes,
Working for
if they work
an
for
inspector.
somebody rather
Because
than.
after 34 years, had I known now, then what I know now, I wouldn't be in business. I'd work for
I
somebody.
get it. I do. And you're right. I mean, being the owner is not for the faint of heart. It takes.
As an employee, you don't want to, you do your job,
Go
you
do
get up,
your job,
you
you
do
go
your job,
home, and you
right
make
to sport.
good money.
Yep.
I know.
Get your paid vacation, you don't get bothered,
Yep.
you don't listen to complaints.
Where are you located out of?
Right in Florida.
Nice area. There's a lot of competition in that area, though, isn't there? Yeah.
I'm a state watcher. There's over 18,000 inspectors in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. You do a lot of 4 points of limits, and that drives your average ticket down. But you know what?
Problem with 4-point limits is, again, 90% of home inspectors are falsifying the reports, not doing them.
I read an article about that recently. I've been on the home inspector pages, and I read that somebody like in Florida, there
Just got arrested. She
There
just
you go.
posted.
Yeah, I saw that.
But the agents, because it's so tough, the agents don't care. They just want that sale to go through. And if you're not getting it to go through, they'll find somebody to falsify a report.
That's terrible. You're going above that 85%. I'm in Pennsylvania. So, but I work with, I mean, I've got clients all over the country, from literally Washington to Maine, to Florida, Texas, California, and everywhere in between.
Where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because our capacity.
Middle of
is
nowhere.
over
There,
60%.
it's, you, I'm in the
But, so we
country.
try to make sure our inspectors know that.
Oh,
Where are you from?
Pennsylvania, wait a minute.
You're together, okay. Oh, you know what, it's been a minute. Hey, it's been a minute, so come on back to me, people. All right, so when should you hire or hold steady based on the capacity results? I'm sure all of you track your capacity to some degree, one way or another. So when do you hire? What % of capacity do you actually hire? Do you have a percentage in your mind that you track that and you're like, okay, this is when I'm going to actually pull the trigger and bring someone in? So,
There's also a problem with that question. Some people only in here train for like 2 weeks, hiring
we're not talking about training. Training takes time. We're,
hire somebody, you're
yes, you absolutely do. So,
your training's 2 weeks, that's no big deal. Your training's 3 to 6 months.
right, on average, what I've seen a lot of clients do, and this is just a general average across the country, it's not just like, and it's not based on any particular state because some states have a much larger training period because of the licensing. But on average, it's between 2 to 3 months to get an inspector up and trained and ready efficiently to be able to like do an inspection solo. Now, the % that you're looking for when it's time to hire, that magic number is 80%. However, once you reach 60% capacity on a regular basis, you should be recruiting and looking for that next person, the right person to hire, and interviewing them. And just kind of, they talk about building your bench in the different coaching groups. You are building a bench. You want to make sure that you've got somebody on the bench at all times whenever you reach a certain point in your business. Now, as a solo inspector, you're not necessarily building it as quickly, but the bigger you get, the more it is that you need to be recruiting because you need to make sure that if you have 1 or 2 inspectors leave, it's not going to cripple your business. So 80% is the magic number of when you should hire. If you're at 50% capacity and you want to hire somebody, don't do it. Hold steady. You just keep on holding at that point because you'll fall flat on your face if you try to hire when you're at 50%. Yeah, you'll need a lot of cash because if the average time to get an inspector up and trained and everything is 2 to 3 months, That's 2 to 3 months of money you have to pay out of your pocket that you need in cash reserves to be able to pay that person before they're actually making you any money. So you need to make sure that you have enough cash built up. Okay? All right, so, and I do go over that with all my clients as far as like making sure you have cash built up before it's time to hire. And when is the best time to hire, Mike? I know, it's okay. When is the best time to hire, Mike?
You know, knowing that it's 2 to 3 months, and that's if you're really good like Bill, he does it in less time than that, then, you know, November is the best time to hire.
Exactly. So why is that?
March 1st is your magic date,
That's right.
and you want to make sure that you
Okay, so
ready by then.
the best time to hire is in the slowest time of the year for this industry. So if you don't have cash built up, you're not going to be able to afford to hire, and then you're going to be chasing your tail the next season when you're busy. And then you're going to be wondering why you're still stuck in the field as an owner when you want to be getting out of the field. So make sure that you have enough cash built up. You need to be looking at your cash starting in April so that you can start saving for the next winter so that when winter comes, you have enough to be able to actually support your growth needs. All right, last question. What are your companies, or what are your goals for your company? How will you take your business to the next level? How will you use your financials to know when you're ready to invest in your business? So I want you all to think about this. You can share if you want, get together and go. Well, don't go anywhere. Go with each other. Talk to each other. Y'all are really quiet.
That means there's 80 inspectors.
Okay, so how are you going to use the financials that you have to know when you're ready to invest in your business, and how will you take your business to the next level? Does anybody have anything they want to share?
Why are you looking at me? No, you sell.
No? Oh, you're scared. You're scared. Okay.
Sell it, retire.
I mean, how do you use your financials to know if you're profitable or not is gonna determine your goals and your next level, or what your goals are and how to get to the next level. But you have to be profitable to start
Yeah.
going to that.
So you have to, right, you have to be profitable to start getting to the next level. And how you get to be profitable is by picking one or all of these things. Although if you try to implement everything at once, you're not going to do it. The biggest takeaway that you should do is pick one item from this whole list and work on it in your business. An area that you say, okay, that's a problem point for me. I don't have a good tracking system for that. I'm going to focus on that area and improve it because I think that's a pain point and I need that in my business. So I don't want you to take every single one of these things and go back and then overwhelm your team with like, hey, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and we're going to go and do it all. It's going to be great. You need to pick one thing at a time and tackle it as you're able to. So pick the biggest pain point for you and go there, okay? All right, so in closing, which will you track first? You don't need to get together for this. This is just a recap of everything that we have here. I want you to pick one of these for your business that you say, that's me, that's my problem point. I want to focus on that and I want to fix it, okay? All right, did everybody get their pictures? Good. And if you aren't sure how to track these things and you would like to talk more in depth, you can scan the QR code that goes straight to my calendar. You can pick a day and time that works for you. It's a free consultation. And then if you would like to work with me more one-on-one on a regular basis, I do that as well. I offer bookkeeping and financial coaching and, whatever else you want to talk about. But
I'm gonna tell you, we know our numbers backwards and forwards and sideways and upside down and inside out. And Chris just said, I need Katie to be able to go over these numbers.
I like that.
And so anybody that's not doing at least the free consult with you is just missing things.
Right, exactly. So, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And I am out of time. I officially went over, and I am sorry.
No, you were great.